But now I'd like to turn it over to our founder. He is a certified addiction counselor, author, recovering addict, and father. Please welcome the president and founder of Road to Purity, Dan Aungst.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for being here, especially tonight. Thank you for your interest in Road to Purity. I feel truly blessed to have each one of you here and to connect with you tonight. As David said, my name is Dan Aungst, and I'm president and founder of Road to Purity. Tonight I want to share a little bit about my history, my story, how Road to Purity came to be, my philosophy on what we do, and God's plan on, or how his hand was involved in this path. Road to Purity was born out of my own history. I am a recovering sex addict. I was addicted for over 30 years, and I've been in recovery for about 15. For these 30 years, I would say I pretty much lived a double life, one of fantasy and desire, and the other one of reality, except the reality was too painful to exist in, which drove the addiction. Pornography and sex addiction is a progressive disorder or disease, depending on how you look at it. It is something that is continually growing within a person, and that's part of what an addiction is it gets worse and worse in most cases. In my case, it advanced to much more than pornography, which is why I say recovering sex addict. I was involved in massage parlors, prostitution, affairs, pretty much the whole gamut. Unfortunately, I brought that adult life into my marriage, and Roxanne had no idea. I will share one story that was about 9 years into my marriage, where these two double lives collided. It was a moment where I was having an affair that she didn't know about at the time, but I was having an affair, and it became apparent. There's some miraculous encounters that happened at the end of the affair. We had many friends who were praying for us. There was a men's retreat coming up that I had many trying to get me to go on it. And I said, no, I'm not doing this. I know what I want. I'm not going on this retreat. And then by the grace of God, the affair ended the day before the retreat. Now, I had decided, in conjunction with Roxanne, I had decided 2 hours before some of my friends were leaving to go, that I guess I would go. So I talked to one of the friends that had continually been there asking me to go, and offered to give me the ride, and said, I would like to go, I changed my mind, but I haven't signed up. And he said, don't worry about it. Okay. So we took off, went up the mountain, got to the retreat place, got there. My name was on the list. I had a name badge. I had a room. Everything was taken care of. I didn't even decide to go until 2 hours before we left. That night, after a few of the talks, there was a priest, Father Leone. Many of you know who he is, now Monsignor Leone. I didn't know him at the time. He spots me across the room. He points, sees my name badge, I guess. He goes, Dan Aungst, I've been looking all over for you. Okay. He comes up to me, hands me this letter, or hands me this envelope. He says, God told me to give you this. Okay, whatever, I dumbfounded, whatever, so I opened it up. There was a letter inside. This letter said, Dan, there is so much I would like to tell you if only there were enough time. You are entering a very difficult time, but it is also a time when you are going to learn a lot about Roxanne, about yourself, and about me and my love for you. Please be patient with yourself. This is not going to go away overnight. The wounds are deep, but not fatal. There is much healing that needs to take place for your wife, your friends, for yourself and for our relationship. The important thing, though, is that our relationship has begun. Let's go through this together. Give me all of your hurt, your resentment, and your pain. I can take it, and I promise I will continue to love you. There are big plans for you ahead. If only you knew everything that is still to come. It is so important to begin this healing process. I will be here to help you. Please lean on me, use me. I will give you strength and courage when you have nothing left. You will discover the true strength comes from humility. The true strength comes from you will discover the true strength comes from humility, and true power comes from grace. I will be here to help you, but the work is up to you. Your friend, Jesus. I about fell on the floor. I'm looking around for this. I said, where is this guy? Where does this come from? I couldn't find him. Next day, I find him in the middle of the day sometime, and I go up to him and said, where did you get this? Who gave this to you? He goes, what do you mean? I said, this letter. He says, I don't know. I gave him the letter, and he read it, and he goes, I guess Jesus gave it to me. I never found anything else. It's been like 20 years now. I've never found anything else more about where it came from. That's all I knew. Now, you'd think that would be enough to change a person, to turn them around. But my pride and selfishness was a little too much for that. I had a long way to go still. Came home, never dealt with the real problem. Didn't even know there was a real problem. Never looked at anything deeper. The next few years, while rough, up and down, started relapsing, the addiction started coming back in again. This time, Roxanne was talking divorce. So we met with Father Ken again. He gave me the letter. He said to her, will you give me 2 months with him? And she said, okay, you got 2 months. He got me started in a small group program that he and somebody else started. And in that program, that is where it all started, and that's where pretty much everything started to change my life. I did that program for several years. I started co-leading it with another individual who is also here tonight for many, many years. Got involved in counseling, so many different things that started in my recovery. I started learning so much, I started sharing it with the other guys in the group. And everybody kept saying, oh, you should write a book. I don't even like to read. I have difficulty reading, always have. There's no way I'm going to write a book, okay? But it kept coming up, oh, you should write a book. And I don't even know what to write about. I mean, it's like, I don't have an education. I don't have a PhD or anything in this stuff. All I know is, what we actually talk about in a little group. I'm sending an email, but for the longest time, I'm feeling that God wants something from me. That was happening for several months. I couldn't shake it. He wants something. He wants something. I don't know what. He's not talking to me. It just this gut feel he wants something from me, and I don't know what it was. Then one day I was just sending an email to a friend of mine, sharing this whole thing of that everybody keeps telling me I should write a book. And in the email, I'm typing in and said, I don't know what to say. The only thing I could be able to say is from one addict to another. And as I typed those words, this hot, flushed feeling came over me. I quickly finished the email and stopped, and I thought, that's it. That's what I have to say. And that's the name of the book. And I sat there, like, I'm kind of freaking out, going, I don't know what to do, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this. Something never happened to me before. This deep, internal voice, just so profound and loud, said, I need you to do this for me. I knew what it was. I didn't want to believe what it was. I just continued I started arguing with it. No, I can't do this. I don't write. I don't read. Whatever. He said, I need you to do this for me. I continued to say, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what. I'll be here to help you. I'm beside myself at this point. I'm starting to think of, well, writing a book. I'm actually, at the moment, I have a business selling books on Amazon. Think of that as a punchline, okay? I don't read, I'm selling books on Amazon. So I know a first looks thing that's in it. You can read part of people's books, you go out buying it. So I'm thinking, people are gonna do that. They're gonna see my book, they're gonna know about me, whatever, and the embarrassing stuff. Oh, wait a minute, what do they call that, a pen name or something? You know, I can do that. The voice goes, I need you to own it. I knew he was right, but okay, stopped, that passed. I went home, I talked to Roxanne, told her about what had happened. I couldn't hardly believe it myself. She goes, well, sounds like something you need to do. How am I gonna do this? This is about you as well, and all the pain and things that did to you. And he said, well, if God asked you to do it, then you need to do it. I spent the next year going from priest to priest, spiritual director to spiritual director, looking for somebody to tell me that, oh, God doesn't talk to people like this anymore. And that didn't really happen. Every single one of them was like, oh, sounds like something you need to do. I'm not getting out of this one. Finally spoke to a spiritual director who told me, he said, go to adoration for an hour and write it for 2. And if the book comes out, fine. If it, then otherwise you'll know your answer. I did that. I spent several months writing the book. And most of it I don't even remember writing because I did adoration on a row and I don't remember what it was. But the book came out, it got published. I went to adoration. I said, okay, God, I did what you said. I finished the book, I'm done. And he goes, now it's time to get started. Okay. I didn't know what to do with that. But anyway, I kept going, kept learning a lot, kept growing more within my own healing. Eventually, I went through Theology of the Body, Christopher West stuff, learned his whole course. Ultimately, I went through Theology of the Body, went through his whole 6-hour course, and I had to stop and had to ask myself, if I knew all of this 25 years ago, would I still have done everything I did? My honest answer was yes. Then why? What I came up with is information, while paramount and critical and important, is not enough. We had to go through the healing and why it was happening, what was going on underneath. Bottom line is that I discovered God created us to love and be loved. Period. End of story. That's it. Everything else comes out of that. Love and be loved. The problem is, as we grow up, we're looking for perfect love from imperfect beings. Parents, siblings, teachers, peers, and so forth, they're all wounded, just like we are. They can't offer perfect love. It can't be done, but we're looking for it. So we end up adopting identity things, and identity feelings or behaviors such as like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not known, I'm not wanted, I need to be perfect to be loved, I need to earn my love. Dozens more. I mean, everybody has some of these, and some of us have these in a very deep way. Because of these self-beliefs or false identities, they're not rooted in perfect love. This perfect love that God wired us for is missing. And we cannot live without it. He created us for it. We can't live without it. So because we don't have this perfect love, we have pain. If we don't transform this pain, we will transmit it. It's not a choice. It's not something I'm going to white knuckle my way through. It's not something, it becomes your identity. It's not a choice to just behave different. It's part of who you are. Now, by the age of, our 20s, 30s, and in my case, late 40s, we're a mess, quite often. We hold our identities as the only truth. And for authentic freedom, we must discover the truth and transform these identities. But we don't know that. To do this, what I've discovered, we must address 4 areas. Behavioral, spiritual, chemical, and psychological areas must all be addressed. A lot of other programs and things will address some of them here and there, but all 4 have to be addressed for a complete healing of the whole person. We need to start by practicing self-awareness. We look at our desires. What is our motivation and current behavior and motivation to change? We must reorder our spirituality. This happens with a strict routine of prayer and other exercises, a variety of actions such as fasting, scripture, and engaging in the sacraments. If you're like many people, including myself, you need to spend more time doing this prayer than watching TV. I'm guilty. Another big thing with this is what I mentioned is fasting. I had a priest once tell me that fasting and prayer, fasting is the heavy artillery of prayer. We almost must address our identities head on, our false beliefs. Challenge you to go to adoration. Sit, get quiet. Ask Jesus, who do you say that I am? Take 15, 20 minutes and just listen. He will talk to the depth of your soul and tell you who you are to him. We must seek our wilderness and its source and reorder the lives to the truth. Forgiveness is a big part of this. It's huge. Most of us have unforgiveness in our lives. We're all, some saying, oh, I can't forgive so-and-so for what they did, you know. But we think about it, and every Mass we say the Our Father prayers, your Father forgive us as we forgive others. If we're not forgiving others, he's not forgiving us. Do we think about that? Do we realize that fact? Even if we hold animosity or resentment against someone, that will impact our peace as well. Forgiveness is such a huge part. We have no idea how much it impacts us. Our mood, our psychology, our behaviors. And it can even affect physical diseases and disorders within a person. Forgiveness of self is probably the most difficult of all. You probably see that these things that I'm talking about impacts not just addicts, but everyone. This is true for every person. It affects our identity, our behaviors, and reactions to change. And most of all, our inner peace. And even what's more, in these teachings, we can learn these and we can use these for our children. We can help form them the way they need to be, and we can help heal them before they get too far off. The secret is anybody can do this. How has this changed my life? As David said, a huge miracle. I am still married. We just celebrated a 35th wedding anniversary last summer and had our vows renewed. Our whole family is whole. Both children are practicing the Catholic faith and raising their children in it. One of my children, my son, David, left a lucrative IT position to come and work for Road to Purity just a couple of months ago. The other donates a lot of time and puts time into other projects that we have like Road to Purity, helping us with many, like even the things with the gala, the programs, things like that. She put the monies together. For the last 9 years, I've dedicated my life to Road to Purity and its mission of what we do. Lately, when I ask Jesus, am I telling them? That's what he told me to do. He saw the beauty. I say, am I telling him? He says, we're just getting started. I want to thank you all for coming, and I want God to protect each and every one of you and your families tonight. And I want to say the same thing to you now. It's time to get started. Thank you.